Welcome to the video tutorial for Pennies from Heaven, the 9th pattern in the Stardust Melodies Crochet Along series, and also our 5th free pattern in the series. I'm Polly and I'll be your host. If you'd like more information about the Crochet Along, please visit everytrickonthehook.com or Every Trick on the Hook on Facebook. For this video, I'll be using Aran weight yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. Pennies from Heaven is a very easy pattern. In fact, it's so easy, I only need to show you how to make the first 6 rounds and the last round, and then I'll send you on your way to make your crochet along square. In this pattern, we'll be using a corner join. So if you'd like to see that technique in action, watch this video and then reference the ebook introduction or everytrickonthehook.com for more details on using that technique in the other patterns in the series. Let's get started. To make round 1, we'll begin by making a magic circle, or as I like to make, a double magic circle. To make a double magic circle, you take the yarn and you wrap it around your fingers twice. Then you insert your hook through the circles around your fingers and pull your working yarn through. You can take the circles off your fingers, hold them tight, pull the working yarn tight around your hook, arrange your yarn, hold your circles, and chain 1. Then you can make your stitches into the circles, your round 1 stitches into the circles. So round 1 is single crochet into the magic circles and chain 2 4 times. So that's once. Now single crochet again, chain 2, single crochet again, chain 2, and single crochet again, and chain 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now we can close our magic circles. To do that, make sure that your yarn end is not tangled or twisted around the circles, but that it comes out nice and straight, either from a little bit from behind or from the top. Pull on it just a little bit until you see one of the circles start to close. See how that one got a little bit smaller? Don't pull it all the way closed. Stop when it just got a little bit smaller. You just want to identify which one. So once you've identified that this is the one that got smaller, you can grasp it with your 2 fingers and pull at the top of it until the other loop starts to close. Then you can pull the other loop all the way closed. After the other loop is all the way closed, go back to your yarn end and pull on it until the first loop closes all the way. And your magic circles are closed. Now you can complete round 1. As I mentioned in the introduction, we're going to be using a corner join. So our join is going to be a little bit different in this pattern. We're still going to slip stitch to our very first stitch. So under both loops of that very first single crochet, make your slip stitch. In this corner join, do not pull the slip stitch tight. You are going to use the 2 loops of the slip stitch as the 2 loops of that single crochet in which you worked it. So don't pull it tight because you're going to need to use both of those loops later, so you want to be able to get your hook into either or both of those loops. After you slip stitch to that stitch, slip stitch to the chain space. That slip stitch you can pull tight. You can make that one nice and small because that's the one that we're going to hide in between our stitches. But the one made into the single crochet, that's the one that you want to be regular size so that you can use the loops. And the one made into the chain space you can pull tight so that it's small and as invisible as possible. That's how you do round 1 with a corner join. Now for round 2. In round 1, we slip stitch into the chain 2 space, so we're working a corner join. So our rounds start slightly differently than they normally would. We're starting in the chain 2 space. So the very first thing we're going to do is make a chain 1. That just brings us up to the level of our stitches. And we're starting in the corner. So the very first thing we're going to do is obviously make a corner. Corners in all of the Stardust Melodies crochet along patterns are made with a single crochet in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and another single crochet. That's the very first thing you do. You chain 1 and then you make a corner in that same chain 2 space where your slip stitch was. Now all we need to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. And then we just repeat that all the way around. We make a corner and then we single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. We do that 4 times total. So in the next chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. In the next stitch, in the back loop only, single crochet. In the next chain 2 space, another corner, single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. In the next stitch, single crochet in the back loop only. In the last corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now we're at the last stitch, which has the slip stitch in it. So you're going to work into the back loop only of the slip stitch. It is going to act as if it were the 2 loops for that single crochet right there. Single crochet in the back loop only of the slip stitch that you made into that single crochet. After you do that, we're going to do a similar join. We're going to slip stitch to the top 2 loops of the first single crochet in your corner. To the top 2 loops, slip stitch to that. Again, do not pull that slip stitch tight. We're going to use the 2 loops of the slip stitch as the top 2 loops of that single crochet when we make our next round. So after you've slip stitched to that, go ahead and slip stitch into the corner chain 2 space, and then you can pull that one tight so that we can make it small so it can be a little bit hidden. And that is how you make round 2 with a corner join. Round 3 is going to start exactly the way we started round 2. We've already slip stitched into the chain 2 corner, so we're just going to chain 1 and make our first corner with a single crochet in the chain 2 space, chain 2, and single crochet. If you follow the corner join throughout the square, every round will start and end the same way, with the slip stitches that work you into the chain 2 space, and they'll start just the same way with a chain 1 and then your single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the chain 2 space. Now for the rest of round 3, what we're going to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the very next stitch. Then we're going to make a 3 double crochet cluster into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch right here, this middle stitch, and 1 round below is the round 1 single crochet. So under this front loop only is where I'm going to make my cluster. So to make my cluster, I yarn over once and insert my hook under the front loop only of that round 1 stitch. Then I pull up a loop and then I yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Then I yarn over again, insert my hook again under the same front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. One more time, yarn over, insert my hook under the same front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So it's like I've made 3 double crochets, but I didn't finish any of them. Now I have 4 loops on my hook. When I have 4 loops on my hook, I know I've done it correctly. I can yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on my hook. And that's my cluster. Next, I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. After that, I'm at my next corner. Remember, the single crochet that's behind the cluster does not get worked into because it counts as worked because the cluster sits in front of it. That's why I skipped to the last stitch of the side to make my last stitch, or to make that last single crochet I made. Next, we're at the corner, so we're going to make a normal corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Okay, let's do that again. On this side, in the very first single crochet of this side, under the back loop only, we'll make a single crochet. Now the middle stitch is where we make our cluster into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, which is this round 1 single crochet. So I yarn over once, insert my hook under the front loop only of that stitch, and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and do that a total of 3 times. So yarn over once, insert my hook under the same front loop, and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. One more time, yarn over, insert my hook under the same front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Don't worry if that front loop stretches out a lot. It might stretch a bit now, but it'll go back into place after you put your other stitches in. Okay, so now I've got 4 loops on my hook. I can yarn over and pull through all 4 loops to complete my cluster. Next, I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. Not the stitch behind my cluster, but the next stitch. Now I'm at my corner, so I'll make another corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. My yarn's a little stuck, so hold on. And pull some loose. Okay, there we go. Okay, now let's make this side again. So in the very first stitch of the side, single crochet in the back loop only. Now make a cluster, so yarn over once, insert your hook under the front loop only of that stitch 1 round below, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, insert your hook under the front loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. One more time, yarn over, insert your hook under the front loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. I've got 4 loops on my hook, so now I'm going to close my cluster by yarning over and pulling through all 4 loops. But I'm going to show you a trick I use to make my clusters really pop. Before I do this, I tend to put my finger right behind my cluster and give it some support from behind to help it sort of pop out. Then I yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on my hook, and I pull that a little bit tight. It just sort of happens naturally for me, but I do pull that a little bit tight. Then before I move on to my next stitch, I sort of push the cluster down to encourage that shape, and then I single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and that seems to help me get my clusters nice and round. You can try it and see if it helps you. Okay, now I'm at my corner again, so single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Okay, on the last side, we're going to do this just the way we did before, single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. Now make our cluster. The cluster is going to go into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, and this is the stitch where we made our slip stitch, so it might be a little bit harder to find your slip stitch on this one, but I can kind of tell. See that horizontal bar right there? That is the front loop only of my slip stitch. It's just a little bit tight, so it's a little hard for me to get under it, but if I get under once, I should be able to get under again. So I pulled up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over once, under the same loop. See, it was much easier that time. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over once, insert again, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on my hook. Then I single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and I'm back around to the beginning. To do my corner join, I'm going to slip stitch into both loops of the next single crochet, which was, or the first single crochet of the round. I'm not going to pull that one tight. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the corner chain 2 space, and then I'm going to pull that one tight. And that is round 3. Now for round 4. Round 4 is going to be a basic round of single crochet in the back loop only with our standard single crochet, chain 2, single crochet corners. So I'll show you how to do it. First we chain 1 to bring our stitches up to the height of our work. Now we make our first corner in the chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Next thing we do is we single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the side. So in this very first stitch, under the back loop only, single crochet. Now do that on each stitch across the side. You're going to repeat round 4. So that's why I say it this way, because in future rounds you're going to have more stitches across the side. In round 4 there's just 5 stitches that go across. So you single crochet in the back loop only of those 5 stitches. But in future rounds where you repeat round 4, there will be more stitches here. So just do 1 single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the side until you get to your corner. Be careful that you don't put too many stitches in the beginning or the end. Just make sure that your stitch counts are on. Reference the website for more about stitch counts. They're very easy to keep track of. Once you get to your next corner, make it as usual with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Then do that all the way around. Single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the next side. You're going to do this on all 4 sides. When you get to the corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again in the chain 2 space, and single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across the side. My next corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, that's my last corner. Now I will single crochet in each stitch across the side to the very first stitch. Okay, now I'm at my very first stitch. Be careful that you don't work into the slip stitch or the chain. That's why it's important to count. Make sure you have the right number of stitches. That helps you avoid working into your slip stitch or the chain 1 that you started with. Once you get to your last stitch, go ahead and slip stitch to both loops of your first single crochet. Don't pull it tight for our corner join. Then slip stitch into the chain 2 space and pull that one tight. So that's a basic round of single crochet in the back loop only with single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corners. You're going to repeat this a lot in this pattern. Every pattern repeat is 3 different rounds, and 2 of those rounds are going to be repeats of round 4. So it would be worth remembering how to do this. I want you to go ahead and do it again for round 5. Make round 5 exactly like you did round 4. You're just going to have 2 more stitches on each side. And then I will catch up with you for round 6 and show you how to do round 6. Now for round 6. You should have already completed a round of round 5, which is a repeat of round 4. And now we can move on to round 6. To start, chain 1 and make your first corner in the chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. And now we're going to make a full side of round 6, and this round is very important because we're going to repeat this round. In fact, I'm only going to show you this round, and then we're pretty much done with our square because the rest of the square is just repeats of rounds 4 and round 6, and I'll tell you about how to repeat them after we do round 6. So let's take a look at this. The first thing you do is single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch of the side. After that, you're going to make a cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, and 1 round below is this horizontal bar right here. You can sort of see the horizontal bars are segmented, and those are your individual stitches. So under that stitch right beneath my next stitch is where I'll make my cluster. So I'll pull up a loop and yarn over and pull through 2 loops for my first cluster, or the first part of my cluster. Now I'll do that 3 times total, so yarn over again, insert my hook under the same front loop and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And once more, yarn over, insert my hook under the same front loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now I have 4 loops on my hook, so I'll yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, and that's my cluster. Now here's the important part, because this is what you're going to repeat all the way across. So every time you repeat round 6, your side will start that way. It'll start with a corner, a single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch of the side, and then a cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, or below the second stitch of the side. After that, what you're going to do is repeat a sequence of stitches. You're going to repeat it as many times as you need to across the side until you only have 1 stitch left. in the case of round 6, you're only going to need to repeat this once. But each time you repeat round 6, your repeats of this stitch sequence will increase by 1. So in round 6, I'm going to do it once, but when you get to round 9, you're going to do it twice. And when you get to round 12, you'll do it 3 times, and when you get to round 15, when you get to round 15, you'll do it 4 times. But on round 6, it's just once until you get to till there's 1 stitch left on your side. So here's what you do. This is what you repeat. You single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. Okay, then you cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Making this cluster just like I made the last one, but I'm not going to show you again. I'm not going to explain it again. It's pretty easy. Okay, so that's what you repeat. 5 single crochet in the back loop only, 1 cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below. Repeat that section of stitches as many times as you need to until you have just 1 stitch left on the side. Again, in round 6, we only need to repeat it once, or make it once, and repeat it no times at all. But in future rounds, in round 9, you're going to make it and then you're going to repeat it again. So 2 times total, and each time you repeat round 6, it'll grow by 1. So on the last stitch of the side, we'll single crochet in the back loop only, and that is our full side of round 6. Now go ahead and do that all the way around round 6. So in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and now I'll do my side again. Single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch, and cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. There's my cluster. Okay, now for my repeats. 5 single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches, or single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. And cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So I only needed to make it once, so now I'll single crochet in the back loop only of the last stitch. And I'll make my corner again, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. In the first stitch of the side, single crochet in the back loop only, cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, and now time for the stitches I repeat. So 5 single crochet in the back loop only, followed by a cluster. I'll repeat that across the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cluster in the front loop only the stitch 1 round below, and again this is round 6, so I only needed to make that sequence once, but on round 9, 12, and 15 I'll make it again and again as many times as I need to until 1 stitch is left on the side, and then single crochet in the back loop only of that 1 stitch left on the side, and then do that side again. So in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. And here's our last side, so single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, cluster in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, now my stitch sequence, 5 single crochet in the back loop only, followed by a cluster, repeated across the side as many times as I need to until 1 stitch remains. That's 5, and now my cluster. This one goes into the slip stitch, so it might be a little bit harder to get your hook under there, but there we go. There's my cluster, and I only have one stitch left on my side, so I'll stop repeating it. Single crochet in the back loop, only the last stitch of the side, and now I have made it all the way around round 6. So I can slip stitch to both loops of that first single crochet, and then I can slip stitch to the chain 2 space, and then I can pull that slip stitch tight to hide it, and that is round 6. So here's what I want you to do. To make the rest, to make the rest of the square, repeat round 4 twice, and then repeat round 6, and then repeat round 4 twice, and then repeat round 6. Are you getting where I'm going with this? Repeat round 4 twice, and then repeat round 6. So you're going to do 2 rounds of round 4, which is just basic single crochet in the back loop only with our normal corners. You do that twice, and then you make your next round a repeat of round 6. Really, you can repeat this square, these 3 rounds, you can repeat them as many times as you need to make whatever size square you want. For the crochet along, I want you to repeat the rounds until you get through round 15, because of all of our crochet along squares are 16 rounds total. So repeat your round 4 twice and then round 6 once until you get through round 15. If you need to, go on to everytrickonthehook.com and look at the written pattern so you can remember which round you need to make which repeat, or just maybe jot it down and keep track of it that way. Or if you have the ebook, you can look at the printed pattern that way. So go ahead and make those repeats, round 4 twice, round 6 once, until you get 15 rounds total, and then I'll show you how to finish up our square. If you're following along with this video tutorial for the Stardust Melodies Crochet Along, you should have already made rounds 7 through 15, and they were repeats of round 4 and 6 as described in the previous section of the video. If you are not making this square for the crochet along, you should have repeated those rounds as many times as you needed to. So I'm not going to repeat those rounds through round 15 because round 16 is just a basic round of single crochet. So pretend with me for a little while I'm demonstrating and not making an actual square, I'm just demonstrating a square. Pretend with me that we are on round 16 and that my square is much bigger and I have more stitches per side, but the principle is ultimately the same. You should have ended in the chain 2 space. So we'd start with a normal corner, we'd chain 1 to come up to the size of our work, and then we'll make our normal corner of single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. Now depending on how many repeats you've made, you're going to have a lot more stitches on your side to work across. So however many you have, you're going to single crochet in both loops of each stitch all the way across the side. If you worked a square for the Stardust Melodies Crochet Along, you should have 29 stitches across the side. Work a single crochet in both loops of each stitch all the way across the side, like so. When you come to the next corner, make it as usual. You'll do this on all 4 sides, so single crochet in each stitch across the side. When you get to your corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet, and now I'm on my next side, again single crochet in both loops all the way across the side. When you get done with the 4th side, slip stitch to your very first single crochet to join, pull that one nice and tight, and then you can fasten off. Your square is done, and that's it. It's that simple, just a basic round of single crochet in both loops for round 16, or whatever your last round is if you made your square bigger or smaller. And that is it for our Pennies for Heaven demonstration. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you find lots of fun uses for this square. And I hope that you're enjoying the crochet along too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for our next square on Thursday.